Hey everyone, welcome back to the Dairy Raid and another morning walk and talk. Beautiful Friday morning. Before we get into your questions, we'll go through a couple housekeeping notes here real quick. As you may have noticed yesterday, I had planned to upload 2 videos to YouTube. They were the YouTube versions of the film breakdowns for both the offense and the defense versus Middle Tennessee State. And both of them in the initial upload were pulled by the content ID system for copyright, which means they're blocked. I don't get a strike on the channel, but they were blocked. At the time, I was at practice, and by the time I got home, it was several hours later. I couldn't just quickly remedy the issue. I was able to re-upload the videos, did a little research on the train on the way home, ways to possibly get around it, not breaking any rules, but ways to help through the process, and I was able to re-upload them successfully. Now, the thing with the Content ID system is it could strike at any time. So, I have made a decision that what I'm going to do from now on is every video that could potentially get caught by the Content ID system, basically anything with film on it, I'm going to upload to YouTube as usual, but I will also upload it at the same time to Substack. So those of you who are subscribed to Substack, or even those who are not, when you get the email, when you get the notification that the video or the post is up on Substack, you will get both the link to the YouTube video and the film will be uploaded there as well. Now, I encourage you all to watch the film on YouTube because we all need to tame the algorithm, right? But if for some reason you go to a video and you can see it's chopped to hell and hard to watch, go to the Substack and you'll be able to see the film in its full intended glory. And that's just what we're going to have to do here for the time being. It's an annoying process that I have to go through, and unfortunately, the licensing company for the NCAA doesn't understand fair use. But it is what it is. At least we're going to have avenues that you can see the film if it gets pulled down or not. All right, well, enough of that. Let's get into football and let's talk about the Badgers. The first question I have here is something that I have answered in the past, but now having actual on-the-field context, it's going to maybe adjust my answer a little bit. And the simple question is, would it have been better for the Badgers to go to a Jeff Grimes style offense right away in 2023 than it was to go to the air raid? The transition been easier. It seems like it fits better. Now, what's the deal? Well, short answer is yes. Long answer is yes with a but. So, what I mean by that is, the offense really is doing a really good job fitting the players we have. You know, we changed quarterbacks. Danny O'Neal comes in and fits like he's been there the entire time. We're using a bunch of different receivers. We're using different tight ends. It fits. It fits the guys we have. What I do find interesting, though, is that everyone in Badger fandom is so excited about the return of under center stuff, the return of the fullback, return of I formation, running power on the goal line, all that kind of stuff. And I get it. I find it funny, though, that if you look at the success rate of the plays that we've run so far, I mean, passing-wise, vast majority of them are air raid concepts that we ran here with Phil Longo, concepts that we ran with Paul Chryst. I will give Chryst credit for that. The vast majority of our success in the run game has come out of spread formations, has come out of misdirection from spread formations. And so while we are returning, quote unquote, to the roots of Wisconsin football, it's funny that the most successful stuff we're running is the stuff that we've been doing the past 2 years. And when you look into it with that, it has less, I think it has less to do with the plays and more has to do with who's calling them and the understanding of the personnel. I think the approach, obviously, Phil Longo had a very different approach to offensive football. It was keep doing it, it will work. It's a very old school approach, actually. I mean, give it time, it always works, right? And Jeff Grimes, it really seems like so far, is always looking for what's working. And what worked against Miami of Ohio was not what worked against Middle Tennessee. And they found ways to win, and that's the important thing. So I hesitate to say completely that you have two completely different styles of offense and one was better than the other. I just think it comes down to the execution of the offense under Grimes and the philosophy behind it, less to do with than the plays. Speaking of the offense under Grimes, the next question has to do with Coach Grimes's like of using unbalanced formations, and really what are the benefits of using them other than sometimes getting an extra blocker out in front. What are we standing to gain from switching an offensive lineman to the other side of the field so we've got two tackles, or stacking both receivers on the line on one side of the ball so a receiver on the other side can go in motion, etc.? What is the deal? Why does it work? Well, kind of when you talk about the different ways that you use it, you can kind of see where it comes from. But if we look at the game against Middle Tennessee, for example, where they used a lot of formations where they would take the two receivers on one side and then both of them are on the line of scrimmage. So by formation, the inside receiver is an ineligible receiver because he needs to either be the end man on the line of scrimmage or off the ball. And since he's not, he is ineligible. Same thing with the tight end. Well, two things obviously with that. One, it frees up that man who is normally on the line of scrimmage on the backside to be off the ball. You can use him in motion, etc. You can also, when you do that, and let's say, for example, you flip a tackle as well, you can sneak an eligible player into a spot where the offensive tackle would be. The key thing with it is, when you do stuff like that, is a lot of times defenses simply don't notice that your ineligible receiver is ineligible. And you saw it against Middle Tennessee. A couple times when they're running it, Middle Tennessee is in their man coverage, and that flat defender has his eyes locked on that second receiver. And there are ways to get him eligible, but if anything, he just is there to be eye candy, non-moving eye candy that is going to eventually open something up later. We've been very vanilla with the unbalanced stuff. We've been very vanilla with the receiver imbalance looks, but there's so much more you can do. I know from what I have been told, there are some trick plays that they run off of this kind of stuff. You know, you're thinking about things that we did with Lance Mason over the weekend. You know, now put him in a tackle position where they think he's ineligible. Stuff like that. It opens up the door to a lot of possibilities without really overcomplicating things. It's just moving a guy, and as long as you're quick about it and you just get the play started, you can gain an advantage. That's the key. Gain an advantage. And you can do that by either outflanking, by committing eyes to the wrong spot, or just simply creating confusion when they do recognize it, but they don't have time to react, or they react differently. That's where you can get advantage for a little simple thing. So I'm looking forward to seeing how this style of offense, or the play calling and formation wise, is used going forward. But you could just it just shows that, again, it is the idea of doing the simple things in a lot of different ways. You saw formations like that, and what they do, they just motioned, and they still ran power. They still ran wide zone. They still ran jet sweep. Things didn't change, different ways to run the same plays. All right, and I think we're going to have a little bit of a shorter one today, and that's fine. I'm also having problems avoiding the wind here. But the next question is, so far this season, which unit have I seen show the most improvement? And then part 2, which one of the units needs to show the most improvement in order to carry momentum into next year? And that's an interesting way to put it. And I could give a very straightforward answer and just pick one side of the ball and say why. But I think there's a little more nuance to that. And so we'll say this. The unit that has shown the most improvement has been the defense. They have shown fundamental growth. They have shown that the coaching staff is putting them in better positions to win, and the players that they got in the transfer portal are having the most impact. So if we want to look at it in that sense, that unit has shown the most improvement. The offense, the addition of Lance Mason has been huge. I think he is making us all think Tanner Koziel what? Now again, it's been 2 weeks. Let's not get overexcited. But that has been a nice addition. And I think beyond that, the offense is showing the capability and the level of play that we have been expecting the last 2 years, and that we have been underachieving and not reaching. So to call the offense improved when they have come back to 0 is maybe a little bit misleading. I think the defense has gone beyond 0. They've gotten to the level that maybe they should have been the last 2 years, but then they've exceeded it. And especially the additions to the transfer portal cannot be underestimated, where especially in the front 7, they have replaced either dead weight or flat out players that didn't exist on the Badgers team. And you've seen that improvement. Now, to go forward, that's where we get into, we got to think about it a little bit. But obviously, if I'm saying that the defense is already beyond the 0 point and the offense is just getting back to where they should be, then obviously the offense needs to continue to grow in order for us to take the next step. Again, and I keep saying that word a lot, but as I've said in the past, said most recently on my most recent appearance on Locked On Badgers, we cannot go back to an offense where we rely on one person or one position to carry the offense. I don't think Badger fans have realized how incredibly lucky we have been over the last 15 years, 20 years. We can even go back to Ron Dane if you want to, about having not just all Big Ten running backs, not just all American running backs, but college Hall of Fame running backs, some of the best running backs in college football history, some of the best running back seasons in college football history. And players like that have made mediocre to bad offenses look stellar. But the best offense the Badgers ever had was when we had a competent quarterback. And then all the rest of the pieces around it just fit together with Russell Wilson. Not saying the next quarterback we have has to be Russell Wilson, but if we can strive to achieve that, not achieve the Alex Hornibrook, Joel Stave line of despair. Jack Cohn, at minimum, a poor man's Scott Tolzien. If we can get that kind of consistency at quarterback play, it amplifies everything around us. We don't need all-American running backs. We need good running backs. We don't need to have high NFL draft picks on the offensive line, but the offense will make our offensive linemen high NFL draft picks. Notice that with the offensive line, too, is for as storied as an offensive line program as we've had, when's the last time we had a high first-round NFL draft pick in the O-line position who's actually become a solid NFL player? Think about that for a second. Yeah, a couple guys here and there. Usually they're mid-round, second-rounders at best. Thinking Biotic and Travis Frederick, guys like that. But when's the last time, Pete Cons, Gabe Karimi? I could go on. Anyways, one position amplified another. You get a position like quarterback that plays better, it elevates the entire offense. And then you work on building and getting talent at every position on the offense, not just walk-ons from Peshtigo to play wide receiver. And then we can take a step forward, which we have to. Because, like always, it's no longer the Big Ten West. No longer are we going to be playing teams that are fighting for 3 wins in Big Ten play, and that's the bulk of our Big Ten schedule. The way things are going, we're going to have years like this year, where it seems like we're going to play against every team in the Big Ten who's going to finish 9-3. And they probably all will be 9-3 because they're all going to beat each other. And the game's changed. So we've got to rise up to the level of the competition. And the competition, the average is getting higher. And it just needs to continue to improve. So that's where we need to go. So, in recap, defense has improved so much far enough this year. They're the ones who have improved the most so far in terms of fundamentals. But to go forward, the offense needs to go forward. They need to raise the level. And only then will Wisconsin football get back to the level that it achieved back when the bar was set a little bit lower. All right, and with that, I think we're going to call it a day here. Again, apologize for the wind. But when you live in a country where the highest peak is 200 feet, you get wind that starts in England and doesn't stop. So here we are. Anyways, I want to take a second here to thank everybody who's been subscribing. We just hit 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. For some people, that's not a big deal. For me, it's a huge deal. It's taken 2 years to get here, and it's been just all organic. It's been you people going out there, watching, commenting, subscribing, engaging, interacting, and I started the whole dairy raid really as a way to get stuff off my chest, even just for me, even just for kind of posterity's sake. And from 53 subscribers in September of 23 to over 1,000 right now, here we are. So thank you very much. Thank you also to everyone who has started to migrate over to Substack and have been subscribing there. It is showing me that if YouTube ever becomes an issue, there is a viable location to put my content down the road. You are also supporting what I do here by putting your hard-earned money on the table, and that is going directly into making the dairy raid better by maybe getting me to a game later this season, But just by having your eyes on the Substack, having your eyes on the YouTube is more than I can ask for. So, end of the groveling. Thank you very much. We're going to call it a day here, walking up down my road right now. So, thank you as always for watching, and we will see you next time.